for now, we're actually going to talk to Jamie, who's calling in from Texas about something completely different here. Jamie, you're live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call again. Ghost stories coming up, and because of spooky season, but also
Spooky
conspiracies
season, baby.
in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
People keep saying, "Look with your own eyes. Trust your eyes. We live on a flat level plane, therefore the Earth's flat." Or I saw a ghost. I know what I saw, and I think people just trust their own senses far, far, far too much and don't realize how fallible they are and how easily tricked they are. And it frustrates me to no end, especially when people come at me saying, "Hey, why don't you look with your own eyes?" It's like, dude, I'm really quite severely visually impaired, and I have floaters and flashes and weird stuff in my vision all the time. I see ghosts all the time because they're little bits of floaty stuff in my eyes. So I can't trust anything I see. Why do you trust what you see? Why do you think you're perfect? Yeah.
It's interesting that you bring that up, how fallible the human senses are. There's a pretty cool, I'd say it's fairly interesting kind of a YouTube experiment that people will do where they'll have a prosthetic hand or a stand-in hand that they'll place into a container, and they'll have your hand go where you can't see it. They'll stimulate both your hand and the prosthetic hand at the same time to mimic the feeling of what the fake hand would be feeling. And then at the end of the experiment, they'll normally cause some kind of harm onto the hand, causing an extremely visceral reaction from whoever is undergoing that experiment. And it really, really does go to show you just how fallible the human mind is. We attach anything that we can to whatever we can, whatever kind of meaning that we can garner from what is around us. Pattern seeking and recognition, it's literally hardwired into our DNA. It's truly fascinating to me to kind of experience the cognitive dissonance that some of these people go through to look hundreds, if not thousands of years of empirical data in the face and go, oh, well, that doesn't matter. Who cares? Clearly what I think is right because I'm infallible. Just the level of,
I think what it is
that goes into it.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Oh, and there's all kinds of experiments. A couple that always bring, because I'm thinking in the visual, a couple that come to mind for me. There's one where they had people look into a screen and they had an eye tracking camera. And what a lot of people don't know about your vision is that every time your eyes move, even a little bit, your vision turns off slightly. It's a way to stop yourself from getting motion sick. Your body's developed this. But in that split second of blindness, your brain assumes that whatever was there before will still be there when your vision comes back. And in that split second, they would remove elements from the scene. And it would take a long time for people to realize that, like, that bike's gone, and that building's gone, and the clouds have gone, and the sun has gone, until it's like, oh, hang on, everything's different. It's like, yep, it was all happening right in front of your eyes because we took these things away when you're literally blind. And another one is an experiment they did where it's a video and it's like, okay, watch this basketball being passed around by a bunch of people. Just keep watching the ball. Count how many times the ball is passed. And you watch it, and you count. So, okay, who noticed the gorilla? And everyone's like, what?
Right.
And in the middle of the scene, a man in a gorilla suit walks straight past the screen and people don't even notice it because they're too busy watching the ball.
It's true. That video is really crazy to look at. I saw that so long ago. I can't remember what my first response to it, but I've definitely shown that to people and they totally miss it, which is just really funny. I like how Jamie, you're talking specifically about like how the fallibility of literal human sight. And like I'm extrapolating this conversation and thinking about just the privilege of anecdote people have in their assessment of the world, right? You could show all kinds of statistics about who actually has money in this world, for example, but people will say, "Oh, it's actually all Jewish people who have the who are the elites, right? Because I saw this Jewish rich person on TV." And that must mean that all the other ones are like that, or you can do this with a number of things, right? And I'm of course talking about racial stereotypes, but that just happens with stereotypes of all kinds of things. So it is interesting that people like just trust themselves more than they trust people who, like, I don't know, study this stuff for a living, right?
Yeah. And I think that that movements like the ACA and initiatives to try and bring more critical thinking and skepticism into the world are important, because it does help you avoid stuff like our flawed input, like the data we're getting from the world through our senses is flawed, and then we're using flawed reasoning like confirmation bias, the gambler's fallacy, like, oh, I've had 5 losses in a row, I'm due for a win. You aren't, though. You know, that kind of thing. Right. So yes, it just frustrates me somewhat. I don't know where I'm really going with this call other than to kind of rant a little bit, but I just hope that people, unfortunately, I'm preaching to the choir. Most of the people watching this stream and listening are skeptical and are aware of our flaws and are cognizant of it. But please spread the word if you can.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Jamie. I mean, there's a reason why I'm hosting this show, right? I do believe in the mission of the ACA. I want to try to promote that kind of secular humanism, that skepticism, as much as I humanely can. Yeah, it does suck because a lot of the calls that we do take on these shows, it does feel like we're preaching to the choir, because people who are interested in skeptical content are going to be skeptics, right? But you'll always see messages, whether it's through our comments or through emails, or for people who are current volunteers in the organization who say, yeah, I started thinking about stuff because I watched an ACA show, and that's why we keep doing it, you know? And so even if you don't get the opportunity to be on any kind of show like this, or even do stuff on YouTube, I still think you can make the most difference by talking to the people you most immediately know. Because if you show a clip of me to, like, I don't know, your crazy aunt or something, she may listen to me, but she's probably more likely to listen to you because, like, you're related to her and she knows you. She doesn't know me. I'm just some guy on the internet, right? So anyway, that's my thoughts on it.
A bit of epistemology goes a long way. I won't take any more of your time, but I will say I want to try and get there next Friday. I will miss some of the show because I clock off work at 7, I'm afraid. So I haven't learned how to teleport yet, I'm afraid.
I gotcha. Well, I will be hanging out afterwards. And you know, I'll be talking to folks. Now, we did show in the promo that Aaron and MD Aware will be there, and they're going to be there on the show. They're going to be remoting in, though. They live in Canada, so they're not going to be making it there, but I will be there. And of course, the crew, a lot of the crew that helps out behind the scenes are also going to be there. So hopefully I get to see you there, Jamie, and anybody else that wants to come next week. It's going to be a party. So
it was great when I came there last time. Can vouch. Come along.
Yeah. Thanks again for calling in, Jamie. Really appreciate it.
Bye.